Cells. Describe the similarities and differences between the structure of the yeast cell and the structure of the bacterial cell. Single cell / unicellular / A. Cell, wall / A. Cytoplasm / D. Ribosome / H. Cell membrane / B. Describe the similarities and differences between a palisade mesophyll cell and the bacterial cell. Similarities max 2 from presence of cell wall, presence of cell membrane, presence of DNA / genetic material, presence of ribosomes, presence of cytoplasm. Differences max 2 from no plasmids, no flagella, no capsule, no loop of DNA, presence of chloroplasts, presence of mitochondria, presence of nucleus, presence of large vacuole, function of nucleus, storage of DNA / controls, named, activity of cell, / produces RNA, / makes ribosomes, function of chloroplast, photosynthesis, / absorb light / A, function of cell wall, supports the cell, / resists turgor pressure, / prevents bursting / A, function of chlorophyll, controls what enters / leaves the cell. Define the term tissue. A group of cells with similar structures, working together to perform a shared function. Function of rough endoplasmic reticulum. Site of protein synthesis. State 1 similarity between the structure of bacteria and the structure of viruses. Presence of genetic material / DNA / RNA. Presence of protein. Respiration. Explain why exercise causes an increase in heart rate / explain why the ECG trace recorded during exercise differs from the ECG trace recorded at rest. Increased frequency of heartbeat / pulse rate. Exercising muscles require more energy. For muscle contraction. Increase in respiration. Faster blood flow to muscles. To supply more oxygen / glucose, muscles need more oxygen / glucose. To remove more carbon dioxide. Outline how the body removes an oxygen debt. Breathing rate is / remains high. Heart rate is / remains high. To provide oxygen. To break down / to remove lactic acid, oxidation. Lactic acid removed by aerobic respiration, a lactic acid aerobically respired. To carbon dioxide and water. Lactic acid is broken down in the liver. Outline the role of the liver in the recovery from oxygen debt after strenuous exercise. Lactic acid is produced in muscle / during exercise by anaerobic respiration. Liver absorbs lactic acid from the blood. Aerobic respiration / oxidation / breakdown of lactic acid to carbon dioxide and water. Describe the process of inspiration / explain how the structures in the gas exchange system cause inspiration. External intercostal muscles contract, and internal intercostal muscles relax. 2 lifts ribs, upwards / outwards. 3 diaphragm, contracts / flattens. 4 volume of thorax, increases. 5 pressure in thorax, decreases. 6 causing air to flow down a pressure gradient / into the lungs / lungs inflate. Equalizing pressure between atmosphere and lungs. State features of the gas exchange surface in humans. Large surface area. Thin surface / short diffusion distance. Good blood supply. Good ventilation, with air. Describe the effects on the thorax of contraction of the diaphragm. Increases in volume. Decreases in pressure. The person leaves the room and runs very fast for 200 minutes. When the person stops running, his breathing rate and his heart rate remain high for several minutes. Explain why the person's breathing rate and heart rate remain high. Takes time for oxygen dead to be repaid. More oxygen needed. Lactic acid / lactate. Builds up in muscle / needs to be cleared away. Lactic acid is broken down / respired. State the functions of cartilage in the gas exchange system. Forms incomplete rings around trachea / bronchi. Keeps, named, airways open. Reduces resistance to movement of air. Protects, named, airways. Sound production in larynx. State 3 uses of energy in the human body. Protein synthesis. Transport in the phloem. Cell division / mitosis / meiosis. Active transport / absorption of ions from the soil. Growth. Movement / muscular contraction. Sensitivity. Nerve impulses. Describe how ethanol can be made by microorganisms. By yeast. Using anaerobic respiration. Explain the differences in composition between inspired and expired air. Less oxygen and more carbon dioxide in expired air than inspired air, as oxygen is required for aerobic respiration. Carbon dioxide is released by respiration. Water vapor increases as it is released by respiration. Eyes-related stuff. Explain why the eye can be described as a sense organ. Contains a group of receptor cells that are sensitive to light / specific stimuli. Function of the suspensory ligaments. Control / changes shape / size, thickness of lens. Ref. To accommodation / focusing. Attachment of lens to ciliary muscles. Function of the cornea. Refracts / bends light. Function of the fovea. Contains a high density of cones for color vision. Function of the circular muscles / iris. Contracts in response to a bright light. Describe and explain the changes that occur in the eye when adjusting focus from a distant object to a near object. Ciliary muscles contract. Tension in suspensory ligaments decreases. Lens becomes more convex, causing more refraction. Explain why a person is unable to focus on distant objects if the suspensory ligaments become permanently overstretched. Ciliary muscles relax. Suspensory ligaments remain slack, as they are overstretched. Lens is not stretched / remains wide. Angle of refraction remains unchanged / up. Describe the changes that occur in the eye when the light becomes bright. Iris in the correct context. Circular muscles of iris contract. Radial muscles of iris relax. Ref to antagonistic muscles. Describe the functions of rods and cones in the eyes. Rods / cones are light receptors or detect / respond / sensitive to light. Rods sensitive to / function in light of low intensity or used for night vision. Rods provide black and white vision. Cones sensitive to light of high intensity. Ref. To 3 different types of cone. Provide color vision. Explain how oxygen in the capillaries reaches the cells in the eye. Through diffusion. Down a concentration gradient. Passive process / use of K.E / random movement. Through a thin capillary wall. Coordination and response. Describe how an impulse travels across the synapse *. Vesicles move towards end of presynaptic neuron / axon / op. Vesicles fuse with presynaptic membrane. An impulse triggers the release of named neurotransmitters into the gap. Neurotransmitter diffuses across synapse/gap/synaptic cleft. Neurotransmitter binds to receptor on postsynaptic neuron. Impulse generated in postsynaptic neuron. Function of the receptor: detects/senses stimulus/change in temperature. Explain what is meant by the term involuntary action. Automatic/no thought required/not a conscious action. Allow, no, higher centers in brain involved. Ignore, reference to speed of response. Stimulus always leads to the same response. Allow, fixed response. Define the term sensitivity. The ability to detect stimuli in the internal/external environment. To make appropriate responses. Define the term sense organ. Groups of receptor cells responding to specific stimuli. Describe and explain how drug X affects the function of the relay neuron. Drug X blocks D/receptor molecules. Neurotransmitters are not able to bind to D/receptor molecules. Drug X is similar in shape to neurotransmitter/complementary to shape of receptor molecule. Drug X stops impulse/electrical signal being transmitted in relay neuron. So, less/no pain felt with drug X. Physical activity changes the concentration of carbon dioxide in the body. State where this change is detected and how the body responds to change. Detected, either carbon dioxide is in the blood or by the brain. Response, either increases rate/depth of breathing or increases heart rate/up. Plants, adaptations. Describe how the tissue palisade mesophyll is adapted to maximize photosynthesis. Cells are tightly packed/columnar/vertically/up. Ref to many chloroplasts/lots of chlorophyll. Cells, positioned at the top of the leaf. Large vacuole, ensures chloroplasts are at edge of cells. Function of the spongy mesophyll cells. Contains many interconnected air spaces. Describe the function of chlorophyll. Ref. To photosynthesis. Transfers light energy into chemical energy. To make carbohydrate/glucose/starch/up. Explain how nitrate ions move from the soil into roots. Active transport. Using energy from respiration. Movement of ions across a cell membrane/into root hair cells. From low concentration to high concentration/against a concentration gradient of nitrate ions. Through protein molecules/pumps/carriers/channels. Nitrate ions are dissolved in water before they move into root. Explain why it would be important to reintroduce plants with many large roots. Obtain named resources from larger/deeper area so that they have enough roots to survive the reintroduction process. Ref. To large R surface area. More root hair cells. For more water and named minerals/ions/salts uptake. Anchorage/described. So that not pulled out when animals grazing/wind etc. Reduce soil erosion. Describe how xylem is adapted for its functions in the plant. Hollow/no cell contents to reduce resistance/allow efficient flow. No end walls to reduce resistance/allow efficient flow. Large cross-sectional area/wide to allow transport of large volume of water. Lignin to prevent collapse/provide support/provide strength. Waterproof to prevent water loss. Explain how the plant cells are able to support the stem so that it stays upright. Cell vacuoles/cells contain much water/have high water potential. Water absorbed by osmosis/down water potential gradient. Cells are turgid/have a turgor pressure. Cell contents/vacuole/cell membrane pushes out against cell wall. Cell wall does not stretch/is inelastic/is rigid. AVP, e.g. cells are tightly packed/up. Explain how xerophytes are adapted to absorb sufficient water in the conditions in which they live. Deep root/up. To absorb water from the water table/up. Long and spread out below the surface. To absorb water when it rains. Root cells have low water potential. To absorb water by osmosis. From very salty soil/up. Roots branch many times. Have many roots hairs. To give a large surface area for absorption of water. Explain how xerophytes are adapted to reduce water loss to the atmosphere. Few stomata/low stomatal density. Sunken stomata. Stomata closed during the day and open at night. Rolled leaves. Thick epidermis/thick cuticle. Few/no/small leaves. Hairs on leaves. Low rates of transpiration. Suggest how xerophytes protect themselves against herbivores. Make/store toxins. Make/store foul-tasting substances/up. Spines/prickles/needles. Resins that trap insects. Thick, inedible leaves. Suggest why having a natural insecticide is an adaptive feature of plants. Reduced predation/improved chance of survival/increased fitness/up.